In this video, I will show you how I prune my apricot tree. This is a grafted Hargrand cultivar I got bare root on a semi-dwarf rootstock last spring. I made a more detailed video on how to plant bare root fruit trees. You may want to check it out. I will put a link to that video at the end of this one. You might find that some of the things I will discuss go against what other people do, but I think there are often more than one way to skin a cat. So experiment and just figure out what works best for you and your trees in your area. Well, that's my philosophy anyway. Talking about going against what other people do, peach and nectarine trees are usually more popular than apricot trees. One of the reasons is that apricot trees require chill hours to set fruit, but at the same time they have a tendency to bloom earlier than peach and nectarine trees. In regions with wide spring temperature fluctuations, it can be challenging to avoid flower drop. In case you are new to this channel, I'm located in Eastern Canada, Zone 5. Spring here almost always has a late nasty surprise for gardeners. This is why I opted for a Hargrand Appricot tree. This cultivar is not only very cold hardy, it was also selected through a Canadian breeding program for its late blooming time. Most apricot cultivars are also immune to peach leaf curl. My nectarine tree here has some resistance to peach leaf curl, but it is susceptible to the disease. It is about 5 meters away from my Hargrand Appricot tree, which has never shown any sign of the disease since I planted it. Besides peach leaf curl, the Hargrand cultivar is also known to be resistant to other diseases like brown rot, bacterial spot, and canker. The tree I planted was about 4 to 5 feet tall. Surprisingly, it had a decent central leader shape for a tree ordered online and shipped in a box. A central leader shape is perfectly fine for an apricot tree, but I prefer the open center shape for my stone fruit trees to maximize airflow and sunlight exposure. You may feel a bit reluctant about cutting the central leader on a young tree, but keep in mind that the heavy pruning of the foliage can actually help balance out the reduced and damaged root system of a bare root tree. Some people advise waiting a year after planting before pruning a tree, and that summer is the preferred time to prune stone fruit trees to reduce the risk of infection. I prune my trees right after planting, even in early spring, and I never had any issues with this approach. More on this later. When selecting the spot to cut the central leader, there are two main considerations I keep in mind. I like to select a spot just above 3 or 4 well-spaced strong lateral branches that form a wide crotch angle with the central leader. My young Hargrand Appricot tree has many of those branches to choose from, which is nice. The height of the cut is the other key factor for me, especially in small spaces. I like to go as low as possible, but if the cut is too low, it will become challenging to walk around the tree when the open center structure is established. Here I don't intend to plant any other fruit trees in the corner behind, so I decided to go a little lower. Always make the cut at an angle to prevent water from accumulating. Next, I shorten all the lateral branches with heading cuts to further reduce the size of the tree. The bud just below a heading cut should be pointing outwards. This is my apricot tree the first summer in the ground, a few months after planting, following that initial pruning session. I did not perform any other pruning until the following spring. And this is the tree in early spring 1 year after planting. It is a good time to assess the overall shape of the tree. Notice how a strong low lateral branch formed in less than a year after planting. Again, I did not wait for summertime to prune it, as it was quickly getting bigger. The bigger the branch, the bigger the scar after pruning. This is also a good time to remove all the other smaller branches that would eventually grow bigger below the main scaffold branches if they were not timely pruned. Pruning too close to the trunk should be avoided to minimize the wound size. I leave the bulge at the base of a branch intact. Next targets branches that grow downwards, followed by branches that grow inwards. Finally, another round of heading cuts to control the size of the tree. Branches that grow too vertical are eliminated, favoring branches that are more horizontal. But the horizontal branches are also pruned shorter to further control size and maintain the balance of the scaffold branches. Although the risk of infection is reduced with disease-resistant cultivars, when wet conditions are expected after heavy pruning in spring, I like to seal the wounds with 100% undiluted neem oil, which is also a great natural fungicide and insecticide. I have found that stone fruit trees tolerate neem oil on open wounds quite well. After several rainy days, the wounds had healed pretty well, and the tree was still looking healthy. This is the tree a few weeks later, in summer. Notice the orderly, vigorous growth produced by the late spring pruning. At this point, only some minor summer pruning is required, mainly to remove as soon as possible any new growth that clearly goes against the open center structure. Or to rebalance the structure of the tree, if one branch grew faster than the other ones, for example. Here is the tree a few weeks after the light summer pruning. The untouched new growth continued to grow, while the pruned new growth slowed down. The trunk stayed clean, contrary to the first year after the central leader was cut. Thank you for watching. If this video made you want to grow an apricot tree, give me a thumbs up, subscribe and activate notifications for timely videos and updates.